Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. So what am I doing today? Today I'm going to be doing a book tag that's basically all about my book buying habits. I really love this tag. I don't think I was actually tagged in it, so I'm sorry if I was, but I don't think I was. I just saw the tag, I love the questions, and I wanted to do the tag. And there's Harry barking. Harry has found his voice recently, and he's been using it more and more, though we're discouraging it. But he's realized that he can look out the window and see all of the critters going past, like the squirrels, and we have so many little critters. The birds are out right now. If you look around, they're all building their nests in very interesting places, like we keep the stroller. I keep my stroller outside. That's just where we store it. And the birds have already figured out how to build a nest in one of the crevices of my stroller. And so like I look out there, full nests everywhere. So anyways, as spring is waking everything up in South Carolina, Harry is having a ball. And now that he's learned how to bark, he just yips at like everything. So he's learning, and he's still the sweetest little boy. Harry's being playful. He didn't want to settle down. You'll probably hear his little tags as he wreaks havoc in this room. But that's Harry, and I love him. He's making me laugh. Okay, we're gonna get into it. I totally got derailed. I literally don't know where I left off, but basically I'm gonna be talking through how I pick out books, how I buy books, and I really liked this tag, and so I just decided to do it. Please go and check out Kristen's channel below. She's wonderful. The 11th prompt in this tag really just shows her personality just so well, and I'm so honored to be doing her tag, and I would just encourage you to check out her channel. Okay, so let's get started. Prompt 1, do you plan your book purchases ahead or impulse buy? I do a mixture of both. I do budget for all things that are, it's my fun money, or, you know, my personal allowance. See, Harry is still off the chain this morning. Okay, so I do budget for my books. Sometimes it's a bit more impulsy because I go to a lot of used bookstores, that's gonna come up in just a minute. And sometimes I have a book on my mind that I've been thinking about, and so it is a planned purchase, especially if I have spent all of my budgeted money for the month and I'm waiting for my allowance to replenish. Sometimes I'll have a very specific book in mind that I know I want to buy before, you know, before spending my money in any other way. That's what I was trying to get at. Harry is wreaking havoc this morning, and we're just going with it. Okay, so prompt 2, how do you decide what books to buy? I often rely on you all, whether it be my Greek chorus of comments that comes through, and this encouragement to buy a specific title or a specific author. I also rely on BookTube to help me pare down lists or authors and focus my attention, but sometimes BookTube does the opposite. Actually, more often than not, it does the opposite, and I don't focus my attention. I'm just like, that sounds good, I want to buy that. That sounds good, I want to buy that. Yeah, BookTube is bad for the wallet. I will say that, and for my poor shelves, because they just keep getting more and more full. But I think when it comes down to it, I usually keep like a mental list of what authors I want to explore, and what titles I would love to pick up. And with that mental list, I'm always sort of keeping that on the go. My mental list is quite long, and so usually I'm seeking out different authors and different titles, and that really helps me hone in on like what I want to buy and when I buy it and how, you know, whether I pick it up or not. Okay, question 3, what is your philosophy on where to shop? So online versus in person, large versus small, physical, digital, or audio, new versus used, etc. Okay, so I am a connoisseur of all kinds of consumerism. Especially when it comes to books. I don't know, I don't really limit myself in regards to like how or where I shop, right? So I would prefer not to buy books new almost in any venue because of the cost. I don't like sinking $25 into a book that I may not like. So my philosophy is that if it's a new book, a new release book, I'll often wait for my library to get it before I read it. Unless it's a title that I'm particularly interested in, or for some reason I don't want to get it from the library. But if it's a new book, I go to the library and check it out and get it that way. Otherwise, I'm a huge fan of used books. I just love used books. I always have. I grew up near a used bookstore, and that was just the climate that I grew up in, and I think I've carried that into adulthood. So I prefer to buy books in person at used bookstores. That would be my ideal. And then second would be possibly online at thrifting online. I like that. And then my last choice would be brand new. And even underneath that would be like brand new from Amazon. And it's not really, I'm not trying to moralize where someone is buying their books. I just would prefer not to buy a book from Amazon when I can get it from a whole bunch of other different venues. Yeah, and as far as, I do buy books in all different formats. So I buy physical books, I buy digital books, I have a Kindle. My Kindle rules for buying are a little bit different, and they're not hard and fast rules, but they are strong guidelines for my buying. My rule essentially is that I buy the book on my Kindle and I have to read it before I buy my next book on my Kindle. And for the most part, that works out. I have very, very, very few unread books on my Kindle, and I don't, my buying for somehow is very controlled when it comes to my Kindle. Now, when it comes to used bookstores and stuff, I'm hopeless. The budget is what keeps me in place, but I'm quite hopeless at a used bookstore or a Goodwill. Those are tricky for me too. Okay, prompt 4. What about free little libraries? What do you think of them? Have you used one? Why or why not? So I did a whole free little library video, which I will link down below. I'm a huge fan of free little libraries. We have 4 in my area, one of which I think is an unofficial free little library, but it's sitting there and it says, take what you want and give if you can kind of thing. I love the free little library because I love anything that brings a community together, even if it's through the exchange of books in a non-face-to-face fashion. So I like the idea of a free little library as an idea to bring a community together and unite a community. I also love this idea that if I'm giving something away, like if I'm giving away a stack of children's books and I put that in the free little library, I know that likely someone in the neighborhood will pick them up. I really like that idea as well. And I just like the idea that you have a place to send your books if you don't want them, and you don't have to drive down to a Goodwill or a used bookstore or a thrift store to donate those items. A lot of times, at least with the free little libraries in my area, they're much closer than any of those other stores that I mentioned. And so it's a lot easier to make a quick trip to donate books, or even just to see if there is a book in there. And yes, I love visiting free little libraries. There is a free little library on the way to my son's kindergarten, and that one is the most tempting. I definitely stop off there quite a bit, whether it be to drop off or just to check to see what they have, if their inventory has been rotated out in some way. And I love them. I think that they are amazing. I love the idea of a free little library. I think that, larger workplaces, free little libraries and workplaces is a great way to unite a community. Not everyone agrees with me. My husband, I gave that suggestion to my husband, and he goes, I don't know how many readers are in my workplace. And I was like, oh, how rude. I mean, not really, but I was like, I'm sure there are more readers than you think, but that's just the nature of our personalities. I'm always, landing on the side of being hopeful and optimistic, and he lands on the side of being a bit more cynical and curmudgeoned. Anyways, how did I get to that? All right. Prompt 5, how do you feel after acquiring a book? Do you share like in a book haul or a diary? I like acquiring books. I feel great, probably because I am, hitting that serotonin button. I bought something, I'm feeling good. But yeah, and I don't have negative feelings about book buying, about acquiring books, partly because I know my limits, my financial budget, and the limits of the space in my house, and I'm not exceeding those limits right now. So I feel great after acquiring books. And often I share in a book haul, unless it's a one-off book, and then I'll wait for those to accumulate and then I'll share them all at once. But I almost always nowadays, since I'm in this space and on BookTube, I share my book purchases with you, and it's always a lot of fun. Prompt 6. How do you feel about your books that haven't been read? Does it matter if it's currently a lot or a little amount? I feel great about unread books. I don't really have a huge internal struggle when I look at my books that are unread. Often I am very excited that I have a new world, a new author, new characters to explore, and new journeys to embark on. That's often my mindset. Though lately I've been looking around at my bookshelves and I'm realizing that there are a lot of books that I want to read, and I am getting quite distracted by new releases and other things on that distract me, y'all. I'm quite distractible. So lately I have been looking around thinking, oh, I really want to make a plan to read the books on my shelves that haven't been read, or I would like to make a plan, or I'm hoping to create some sort of guideline for myself to read more books off my shelves. But right now I'm not too worried about it. Again, mostly I feel excited and a lot of joy from my unread books. All right, prompt 7. How do you decide what number of unread books is the right amount? I don't know. I haven't met that amount yet, so I will let you know when I get there. Prompt 8 is, do you have a TBR game or process for reading them, my unread books? I don't have a process for my unread books. I'm a mood reader, and so I typically pick up what's calling to me in that moment. But lately I've been doing a ton of buddy reads and group reads and read-alongs, and that's been really wonderful because it helps me kind of come up with a plan, even if it's a loose plan, to read one of the books off my TBR. And I like when that plan is in place, especially with someone else, the accountability piece and everything. And then we get together and read the book. And that has been a really great way for me to tackle the unread books on my shelves. But otherwise, I really just like to mood read. Prompt 9, do you have a book buying problem? If so, what is the nature of it, and can it be adjusted? Well, I don't think I have a book buying problem, and my opinion on my book buying behavior is what matters the most. So I would say no. And I would say, people around me would say the same thing. I'm not putting myself in any financial danger when it comes to buying books. I'm not running out of space in my house. We do have a house that has a lot of wall space, and so, I can easily possibly get another bookshelf if I needed to. So it would be when it would become a problem is if I got into some sort of financial danger with my book buying process or whatever, with my book buying, right? Or if I ran out of room in my house, or if I started to feel physically uncomfortable looking at all the books that I owned and I haven't read, or I started to feel very uncomfortable with all of the books around me. And so far, none of that has happened. And so but I have been thinking about slowing down my book buying because there are so many books that I do want to read, and I can feel myself starting to approach the line in which I am uncomfortable with the amount of books that I haven't read yet. So I don't think it's a problem. I don't think that, overall I have a huge problem with book buying, but I do think that eventually I'm going to run into my own conscience saying, Shelly, you have enough books to read. So, waiting for that. The last question is, tag 2 or 3 others to ponder their book buying processes. I'm going to go check, and I'll tag some people in just a moment. I'm going to break the rules on this one a little bit. I'm going to tag 4 people. So I'm going to tag Gloria Z. Thompson. Gloria, I know you work at a library, so how do you acquire your books? I'm also going to tag Brittany from Literarily Smitten because I know she's so thoughtful, and I would love to just hear her answers on how she acquires books and her process for that. I'm going to tag Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading because Kelly recently did a haul, and I'm curious as to how she picked out her books. And then finally, I'm gonna tag Britta Bowler because Britta likes tags where she doesn't have to pull books off the shelves, and this is one of those tags. So Britta, how do you acquire your books? Okay, so that's it for me. Oh, and the last prompt, which I will read, and this is just so indicative of Kristen's channel, and it is, if I can get myself there, it is, know you are awesome just as you are. Being a book lover is amazing. And I love that sentiment. It's very, very sweet. And yeah, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.